Casper's number one for New Country, My Country 95.5. I am Doc.
And I'm Prairie Wife.
It is no secret, Prairie Wife. Holidays not exactly a happy time for everybody.
Yeah, they can definitely be a struggle sometimes.
For lots of different reasons, and that is why we are happy to welcome a guest into our studio.
Yeah, we have Todd here from Central Wyoming Hospice and Transitions. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
All right, so we brought Todd in because I know that grief can definitely be a struggle. The holidays are supposed to be full of joy and cheer and goodwill, but if you've lost someone in your life, and Todd, it doesn't even have to be a recent loss, it can be hard.
That's right. We can experience grief from a recent death to something that has been 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Think about your whole life in a span. Really, if you look back, it can be a blink of an eye, but you're still missing someone because they played an important part in your life.
Yeah, I think people are definitely prepared for grief to hit in the first year or holiday season without someone. But I've noticed in my own experiences, sometimes 3 or 5 years down the road, I suddenly have a hard time. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, that's the thing. We human beings don't just flip a switch on and off when someone lives and someone dies. If someone's been part of your life for a long period of time, it just doesn't make sense that they're not physically there anymore.
So what would you have to say? So we're going to talk in a minute about some of those tips and tricks for dealing with grief. But what about if you're feeling joy in the season and all of a sudden you go, wait, I'm not supposed to feel happy. Grandma passed away.
That is a common experience that's very normal for people who are grieving. What is most important to know for that is when you are grieving, it's important to be able to experience whatever emotion that you are feeling. If you need help and support in understanding those emotions, that's where we at Central Wyoming Hospice are available to support people who are grieving on individual sessions and grief care sessions, but it's also okay to feel what you are feeling.
Okay, I love that you said that. And I think it's also important to understand that even if both you and your brother, for example, lost another sibling, you're going to deal with your grief in different ways and kind of to be compassionate about that.
Absolutely. Grief is unique. Your experience with that person who has died is only your experience, even if it's within the same family. So you have commonalities where you can be supportive of one another, but sometimes our expectations of one another don't always add up to what we need. So we might need to have other support people.
So what are some phrases or what's a tool that we can give someone where they can say, hey, I need some space right now. I'm struggling with this.
Well, the most common thing that grieving people say that they don't like is, how are you? Because they oftentimes don't know themselves, or if they really were to tell that person how they are, they wouldn't want to hear that. So oftentimes some basic one-liners that grieving people say are, it's one day at a time, it's a roller coaster, I have good days, I have bad days, and I thank you for your patience, I thank you for your presence. You don't have to say anything, I just need to have you here.
I love that. What about for those that want to help, but they're afraid of making someone upset by bringing up a loved one that's passed away? What's your advice about that?
There's a funny thing about help. It can be very basic. Like I just said, patience and presence is one of the best things you can do. Oftentimes, if you ask a grieving person what they need, they don't know. But if you want to just bring over some candy or a meal or just say, hey, I was just thinking about you, that's oftentimes enough. And oftentimes when we sit down with the grieving people, we help them be able to speak articulately about what they need to be able to tell others.
One of my favorite phrases that I've heard about this grieving but this grieving situation is talking about my loved one that's died. You're not reminding me that they died. You're reminding me that they lived. And I found that's true in my life. And I don't mind crying, right? I don't mind someone crying with me. I don't mind crying myself because that just means that you care. And that's something I definitely want to throw out there is just feel what you need to feel. Todd, you and I were talking about that off air. We've got to wrap this up, but can you just leave us with maybe a reminder about you don't have to do all the activities this time of year if you're not feeling up to it?
Absolutely. No one should be able to tell anyone else that you have to do something. You should be over this. Oh, it's the holidays. They wouldn't want you feeling this way. It's not a matter of what someone would want you feeling. You are going to feel the way you do. So if you don't want to decorate, don't decorate. If you want to bring in someone to help you maybe go through, say, some decorations, or maybe for that matter, cookies or something, you can do some things that you want to do. Some people are very particular about what are the traditions that they have had. What traditions are we going to do? What ones are we going to keep? Maybe this year you take this one off and next year you do it again. This is your time to reprioritize, because what's more important than anything else in this time is the life that was part of who you are and continues to be part of who you are.
I love that. Todd, amazing advice. If people need to contact you, if they're struggling right now, how can they get a hold of Central Wyoming Hospice and Transitions?
You give us a call at 577-4832. Ask for me, Todd. We can set up individual sessions, or also we have a grief support group starting January 13.
And I also, through the My Country mobile app, have a bunch of resources. Thanks to Todd, I'm talking podcasts, websites, things for kids and for parents. In case you are struggling with grief, remember there's no timeline. Feel what you need to feel right now, and there are people that are here to help. Todd, thanks for coming in.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yep, and it's Prairie Wives sent all the details in the My Country 95.5 mobile app.